think it's fair to call I don't think it's fair to call this an event. I don't look at it really as an event. We've all had a long week, a difficult week. I think I look at this as really a time where we can almost unpackage our thoughts, our feelings, some of our emotions. We've been running around, whether it's physically or just emotionally, the whole week from pillar to post with all different types of feelings after the Chag and during the whole week. And maybe tonight's about just breathing and just stopping and just thinking a bit about us and how we're doing and what we can do. So it's anonymous. We've done that so that you can all feel comfortable. No one can see you and no one can see any of the questions that you might ask. And you know what? Sometimes it's just the questions can be, in a way, more inspiring than always the answers, because the questions is about all of us coming together. And sometimes the questions that we read out, you'll say to yourself, hey, I'm also feeling like that. And I'm not alone. Because so often when we're going through difficult things, we always feel we're alone and there's no one else in the world feeling what we're feeling. Well, you know, a night like tonight, when we're going to discuss what's going on, you might feel, hey, there's other people with the same emotions. There are other people who might be feeling a bit sad. There are other people who might be feeling a bit worried, a bit frightened walking the streets in London, maybe feeling angry about what's gone on, guilty about maybe not being able to do more than we can. A mixture of emotions, and some people might not be feeling any of those emotions at all. So it's fine. We're here, and we're here to help each other. So please feel free to send in your questions. As well as that, it might be really nice if you've been doing anything that you feel has helped you, then share that with us. We can read some of your own ideas, your own coping strategies, and that's really nice to be able to show other people what works for you, which might also work for them at the same time. Okay, I want to introduce you to Deborah. I'm Yaakov, by the way. I'm a therapist based in London, originally from Manchester, if you can detect my Mancunian accent, and the head of JTeen. And with me is Deborah. Deborah, do you want to give your intro and where you're from?
Hi guys, yes, I'm originally British, as you can hear from my accent, from London, and I have been living in Israel with my family for the last 16 years. Actually, it will be 16 years in 4 days' time. And we are, as a family, we live sort of quite central in Israel. We're in Tel Mond, which is about 10-15-minute drive from Ra'anana, and Netanya, right in the middle. We're a little yeshuv, and we've got two different perspectives coming onto the table this evening. So it's really interesting to see some of you have written that you're from Belgium, not just from the UK. So we've got a real nice, diverse group. We are all, no matter where we are, experiencing different types of suffering based on what is going on. So it's going to be very interesting to hear more from you guys. And we have perspectives from Israel, and we have perspectives from London and Europe, and they are different. So looking forward this evening, Yaakov, to exploring that.
Absolutely. And I think it would be nice if you do send in a question, maybe just put, which school you're in and your age, and then we can get a bit of an idea of, where you are and what age you are. Okay, so the first question that's come in, and this is somebody from Hasmonean 15, who says, just feeling quite headachy and no appetite for the last few days. I'm sure it's to do with what's going on, but I really don't like feeling like this. Deborah, I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling a bit. I've really lost my appetite this week. What's going on there?
Well, actually, it's interesting because we've got, again, two different sides. We've got people that are losing their appetite and people that are doing exactly the opposite and non-stop comfort eating, as we would call it. Both of these types of eating are directly associated to the nervousness, the anxiety that we are feeling. Right at the back of our brain, over here at the bottom where our spinal cord meets our brain, we've got part of the brain called the amygdala, which is where our survival mechanism is situated. I'm not sure if anyone here has heard of the freeze, flight, or fight survival mode. And what that means is the minute that we have thinking patterns that make our body believe that we're under threat, and every single one of us to a certain degree is feeling that now, our survival mode is stimulated, which means that our bodies become flooded with certain hormones that are there to protect us and to keep us safe, like adrenaline and noradrenaline and cortisol. And what it does is it makes your body heightened to alert, to fend off a threat. Now, if we were standing in the middle of a road and we saw a lion walking towards us that wasn't guarded, that would be very, very helpful. The challenge is that what it does is it makes us run. It increases our heart rate, our blood flow, our breathing becomes a little bit more shallower, we get goosebumps, and at the same time, our body shuts down systems that we don't really need to reserve energy, like saving battery. So I doubt if anyone's been under threat that you've actually stopped, oh gosh, that's horrific, but let me sit down and have a nice steak dinner, nice, dessert and lovely food. We don't feel like that because our digestive system shuts down, which causes upset stomachs if it goes on for a longer period of time. We get headaches, we get dry mouth, we get goose pimples. All of these feelings are directly associated to a physiological mechanism that is happening that's associated with our anxiety about what is happening now. So really, Yaakov, I would say that all of these symptoms, and they manifest very differently for everybody. Some people will fidget a lot. Some people will just be completely, I don't know what to do with myself. Each one of those symptoms is perfectly normal and directly associated with lots of these questions that are coming through now about what we're thinking about. So it's important to put that on the table, that these symptoms are very normal.
And I guess that explains why, and some of you have messaged in about that, someone from Belgium, 14-year-old, that might be the reason why we're sort of finding it hard to fall asleep. It's one of the reasons, because we're not relaxed, like we're quite on edge. Someone else has just messaged, and I did the same today. We're a bit on alert. Like when I went today to the post office, and I was in the queue, and the person behind who's in the post office there, who's taking the letters, I don't know if he is a Muslim or not. He looked a little bit like he was. Immediately I'm thinking, oh, is he looking at me in a certain way? I wouldn't ever thought of that before. We're all on high alert, which is affecting our ability to just relax and just like chill out and be a bit calmer.
100%. Well, when we have a lot of cortisol running through our bodies, our brains cannot switch off. It inhibits the release of melatonin. Now, melatonin is what the body releases just before we fall asleep. We start to feel like, that is the melatonin release, and we don't have that when we have so much cortisol that's basically making our eyes go like this, because we are on a heightened state of alert. And I think taking a look again, more and more questions are coming through, Yaakov, of these sort of feelings of being super scared, super angry, lots of different variations. All of these physical symptoms make perfect sense.
Okay, so what can we do? We're struggling. Someone in Gibraltar's also, we're struggling to fall asleep at night. What can we do to sort of just calm down and to sort of maybe even, get out of the horrors for a bit? Because, the way things are looking on the news, it's looking like it's going to be here, for the time being next week. What can we do to calm down?
Okay, so without sounding like an old Jewish mother, I am going to say to you guys, get off your phones anytime, at least an hour to 2 hours before you're planning on going to sleep. Now, I know that there's a lot of challenge with doing so. And I'm not going to say, oh, you're addicted to your phones and la-di-da. I'm going to tell you something else. When we hear these situations that have been unfolding, I'm going to use the word atrocities because they are. It is harrowing for every single one of us. We It's not just whether we know somebody or we don't, we're all Jewish. We feel connected to the state of Israel. We feel connected to those people as if they were our own flesh and blood. So there's also a need to gather more and more information, see what's going on. Did you hear this? Did you hear that? What's the latest news? What's happening? Why? Because it's a way of helping us feel connected. It's almost, do I have a responsibility? If I am reading, then I'm there. I'm with the people of Israel. I'm supporting them. But this is a misconception. This is not what happens. We don't need support. The people fighting for us don't need support. The families that are suffering do not get support when the rest of us are suffering by watching what is called, frankly, psychological warfare. Many of these videos and images have been set up on purpose to instill absolute fear. So, you are not going to be helping anybody, which is most importantly yourself, and it does not determine whether you care about Israel and what's happening or not if you look at your phone before you go to bed. If you do look at your phone, you're going to have a much harder chance of falling asleep because those images and what you read is going to be circulating in your head, which is going to keep that cortisol flowing, stopping you from going to sleep. If you decide, you know what, I'm done, I'm turning it off, it's going in another room, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch a program on Netflix. I'm going to watch a movie that I've seen 100 times before, but the last time I saw it just made me laugh. It doesn't matter. You want to read a book, something that you really like, that you love reading. You want to do some learning because you want to feel connected to Hashem before you go to sleep. Whichever one it is, it doesn't matter. But by making the decision to say, I say no, not because I don't care, I do. But right now, for me, where I am, I need to sleep. And I want to sleep, I say no. The outcome of that choice, Yaakov, is the fact that we then can have more chance at falling asleep. It doesn't take away what we're reading. It doesn't take away from what we're seeing, but it helps us settle. And with everything that's going on, each one of us has to pay attention to that level of self-care to get to choose. I'm a 44-year-old woman. I have 5 children. I have a huge client base that I work with. I give lectures many days of the week at the moment. I have not watched one video. I have not looked at one picture. Every time an alert comes in, I switch it off. I keep it on only in case I need to know what I need to do. If something happens, I don't read it, not because I don't care. I don't read it because I know how I will feel if I do, and I don't want that for me or for my family.
Absolutely. And it's, as you're saying, it's not that we're being selfish by doing that. In a way, we're just looking after ourselves. We can't carry on, every day talking about it, 24/7 and with our friends. And sometimes it ends up being it almost feels like you're being very insensitive. So, for example, you might be going out with your friends and deliberately saying, let's not talk about what's going on in Israel. Let's just talk about, I don't know, whatever it is, football, shopping, it doesn't really matter. Something really, really mundane. And it feels wrong, but actually it's right because your mind can't be on this, on the headline news the whole time. So I think we've all got to really, make a conscious effort. And you can even tell people, you can even tell your friends, do you mind, can we just have like 20 minutes where we just talk about other things because it's just too much, all of this. And people will respect that and actually end up feeling, let's just do some of the things that we did just to get away from it. Because it's also very important that we try as much as we can to have our own routines and the sort of things that we were doing. Maybe we might have to change in London. There are some threats and people are feeling a bit worried and a bit unsafe. We may have to change a little bit. We may not be able to walk around with the same freedom as we have before, but equally it's quite important to make sure that we still carry on doing the same things. We still get together with our friends. We still try and go out, obviously in a safe way, but we don't. But we try as much as we can that life carries on and we keep going, because really that's exactly what the enemy don't want. They want us to stop. They want us to have fear. They want us to literally be stuck inside our houses. What we are doing is saying, absolutely not. We are going to carry on, and you are not going to pull us down. And I love some of the tips that we've been seeing over here. That one person said that they're on really nice, positive WhatsApp groups, and they keep trying to look at some of the special things that are coming out, some lovely positive stories of going out, of how everyone's been there for each other, and some of the cohesiveness and the kindnesses that are going on within Israel and in the UK and around and Belgium and everywhere, and that's beautiful. So that's really, really nice. What I wanted to ask you was, Deborah, a boy from Hasmonean, 17 years old, feeling really, really angry. Angry when he's seeing Muslims, angry when he's seeing Arabs, finding it hard to look at them as normal people. Is that expected? Is that healthy? Is that okay?
It is perfectly normal and extremely understandable. Now, to this young man, first of all, really kol hakavod to you for writing that. Many people don't want to write things like that. I think it's very impressive that you've been able to express yourself that way, and to just be really honest. I can tell you that I live in Israel. We have an Arab village 10 minutes down the road. Many of the people that live in that village work and are in our supermarkets and in the pharmacy in Telmond, in the area that I live. This afternoon, I went with my 5 children to get flu vaccines, and I walked into the room, and the lady who was about to give us the flu vaccines wore a hijab. And immediately I looked at her, I took a deep breath, and I said, "Hi, shalom, manishma." And she said, "Beseder, how are you?" I said, "I'm okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really glad you're giving us these vaccines today." Now, I'm scared. I'm anxious. I don't know who's who, and I'm not sure what I can and can't do and what I can and can't say. And am I angry? Extremely. But I'm angry with the people that pursue hate. Not every Islamic person hates Jews. We have had so many Arab civilians in Israel in our pharmacy. I have a daughter with special needs and often requires a lot of medication. She wears a hijab. My husband went in yesterday. "Jonathan, how are you? How is your family? I'm so sorry for what is happening here. I'm so sorry." Not everybody incites hate. It's very, very difficult to feel that way when we feel so angry and so resentful and fuming, like just fuming. But we have to remember that one person that you saw, or the next person that you see in public, we have no idea who they are, and they could be suffering as much as you, knowing that this is happening. So anger is a very healthy emotion. We have to be very careful how we use it, and we can flip that on its head by walking past somebody and saying hello as you walk past, to bring a sense of Kiddush Hashem, and also ahavat chinam rather than sinat chinam, which is causeless hatred. We bring loving kindness, which has got no expectations. It's just being kind just because unless we see that somebody, God forbid, does something that is an aggressive act, we have to have the emunah, and we have to have the kindness, the chesed, to treat every person in the way that we would want to be treated. Just because they are Muslim does not mean they are Hamas supporters. And I think that distinction, if we keep that at the forefront of our minds, that we are humane. There was a phenomenal video that was sent out today. These are the only ones I watched, from a commander in the Israeli army who said we stick to the rules and the law associated with being at war. We don't take these videos and these photographs because it's not what we do as a people. The people that have perpetrated these acts of terror, they are a group of people. They do not reflect the entire Muslim nation. So we have to be very mindful of that.
Amazing. We've had there's so many of you on here. We've got almost 130 people, and you're all messaging in, and it's great. We won't be able to get to all of you, but it's I want you to know that, you know, some of you, I'm just going to read a few out just so that you see that you're all feeling very similar things, and you're not alone, and it's normal and nothing to get worried about. Getting very anxious at night and being worried to look at the news, scared to go to school and to other places, and this is going to be a challenge for us. We're going to have to try and carry on our day-to-day life, but at the same time be a bit more aware. But we do have to be a bit careful that if we're too aware and we're looking over our shoulder the whole time, then psychologically what happens is that it actually, although we think it's actually going to make us feel better, what it actually does is it actually makes us feel more worried. So if you're looking the whole time, like, is anyone coming? You know, can I go out? What was that noise? If we're too much on alert, then that sends a message to the mind, hey, there's danger, and all we're thinking about is danger. Now, thank God that we're not at that situation. So we are in a situation where we do have to be a bit more careful. We have to be responsible, but we don't have to feel that we're in danger. So therefore, when we walk around, we're not here to provoke people. We're not here to literally, you know, bring it on. But at the same time, let's walk deliberately with our head held high. Let's, you know, in the same way, you don't need to be looking the whole time. And if there's something that you're particularly worried about, fine. But as much as we can, really try to, you know, continue as normal, because that will settle you. It will help you feel calmer and just, you know, more settled. We've got
Yaakov, I'm wondering if we can actually group some of these questions together, because there is definitely a few themes that are coming out, so that perhaps if we can pick up on some of those themes, then we can answer a lot of questions in a shorter space of time. Does that
yes
sound...
well, there's one theme that's come from a 17-year-old in JFS, and I've seen a few similar that are really bothered about the fact that their non-Jewish friends are not saying anything. They're feeling a bit distant from their non-Jewish friends. They're really upset about how some of their non-Jewish friends have reacted, and they're feeling a certain distance and disconnect from them. What do we do about that?
That's a very, very good question. In order to answer that question, the first thing we have to do is put ourselves in the shoes of our non-Jewish friends. Okay? When we know that something terrible is happening to one of our friends from the point of view of their nationality, whether not their nationality, their religion, their connection, we can feel, I don't know what to say. What's the right thing to say? Do you say, I'm so sorry for what's happening? Do you not say anything? I don't know. This radio silence, to me, reflects a real I'm not sure. I don't even know how to handle it. I don't see it as, oh, who cares? Like, whatever, big deal. So there's people being killed in Israel, like, what's new? I don't think that it's ever anything like that. I think it's coming from people because they don't know what to do. Okay, a colleague of mine actually wrote to me today and said that they'd received a message at work from somebody that had said, you know, normally on birthdays, we bring in cakes. It's my birthday today. I just want to check with you if that's inappropriate because of what's happening with the situation with your people in Israel. Okay, very sensitive, very thoughtful to reach out and ask that, but not many people can. So we have to understand that they're nervous and they're not sure and they don't even know what to say. So what you can do in that instance is you can say, guys, there's a bit of a white elephant in the room. I know that you've probably seen what's happening on the news in Israel. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask me. You can also say to them, I just, you're my friends, and I'm not really expecting a response, but I just need to tell you that I'm really struggling right now. And if you want to talk to me about it, or you want to ask me about it, I could do with a shoulder, I could do with a friend to talk to me. There's no problem with opening it up. We can very easily look at the dynamic and think, what the heck, honestly, like, you can't even just say, like, I'm sorry to hear. Some people don't know what to say. So when we know we're not getting anything back, you take the white elephant out of the room, you put it right on the table, you say, guys, if you've got something to ask, please ask me, because if you don't, I've got something I need to say because it's hurting. And just be straight, because you can, because people don't know what to do. We don't know what to do to each other. People are learning what to do. I think also, Yaakov, that feeds into another question I've seen quite a few times that people have asked about, what can I do? How can I, bring some value? What can I do to help, help what's happening? What can we do specifically? There was a question that was asked that summarizes the others. What do you think we could do to help others around, not just ourselves? This is the most, I'm sure you agree, Yaakov, this is the most beautiful question.
I love these questions are inspiring me, because I can see the way everyone's thinking about it and really bringing out their heart feelings.
100%. And I think that this is the key to all of it, that when we give to others, we bring such a sense of unity that by reaching out to family members and saying, hey, how are you doing? I'm just thinking of you. There are organizations that are drawing pictures and writing letters and packaging and giving money. And even in the smallest amount, let's say you had £1 in your pocket and you donated it to one thing, you're already participating in supporting what they call here the home effort. We have the people that are on the front line, but have the people that are directly fighting. And we have so many stages back from that. We have to be very careful not to feel that we are not helping. And again, this takes us back to the social media. That is not a way that provides any level of solace or comfort for anyone. But also, you see people running here and they're running there and they're packaging this and they're packaging that. You have to do what you feel is right for you at the time. There's no pressure. Just knowing that you are there, that you care, that you're thinking about it, that you guys came on to this Zoom this evening shows your commitment and your care to the country. Any opportunity, just, comforting someone that's crying, speaking to somebody that's worried, sending a regular message to family members once a day. I'm just thinking of you and sending my prayers your way is part of that effort. Every time my phone pings and I get another message from somebody, I say, thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you. It makes us feel not alone. So there are huge levels at which that can happen. But no level is more important than the other. And also, I think, Yaakov, it's a very important thing to say that when we help other people, it also reduces our own anxiety, because we come out of focusing on ourselves and
Absolutely.
to somebody else.
Yeah. If we can get out of our own feelings and worries and be busy helping other people or talking about other people's issues, and that stops us focusing just on ourselves. I think it's a nice time, and which will link to some of the questions people have asked. Can we do an experiment? Let's do a live experiment. I want everyone. I'm going to tell you now that I don't want anyone to think of a purple rhinoceros. Okay, please do not think of the purple rhinoceros. Now, you don't need to type it in the chat because we'll get a lot of responses, but I'm guessing that a lot of you just thought of the purple rhinoceros. And why do you think that was? That is because when we try not to think of something, when we try not to have something in our mind, what ends up happening is actually the opposite. It actually makes our mind start thinking of it even more. Okay, so if we take the black rhinoceros example and we put it to some of our thoughts, because a lot of you don't want to feel certain things. A lot of you don't want to think of the war and what's going on. But if we try too hard not to think about it, then what ends up happening is actually we think about it more. So what we should try and do when we start having, let's say, scary images or certain things, thoughts that might bother us, instead of trying to stop it, let's just accept that they are here, because our mind and our brain has had quite a shock this week, so we have to expect that it's sort of front pages of our mind. So we understand that they're there. You can even maybe give it a name. You can say, oh, here's the horrible video thought, something like that, and allow it to be there. Because if we can just let it be instead of forcing it away, then you will see that those thoughts and those pictures in our mind will start getting the colors and the vividness will start getting a bit lighter, and we'll start feeling a little bit more comfortable. It's not easy, because we don't like, we're trying to get rid of them because we don't like them. But the mind has got certain rules that, it's not like shutting the window if we're cold. We can't just get rid of it. I have to expect that they are going to be there. And if we do that, then you will see, and someone from Gibraltar and some of you in Belgium were sort of finding it very hard to deal with some of these thoughts. It's not easy, but try to just understand that they're there. There's nothing wrong with them being there. It will be normal. And then you will see that, they hopefully will get a bit lighter. And Deborah and I, I think, seeing from all of you today and tonight, we will be here for you next week. So if you've got any other sort of worries and if it's not going away or things are getting worse, then you can always come back on and we can discuss some more questions. Deborah, just wanted to also discuss, some people are really worried about family in Israel. So many people have got relatives either just living there or on the front lines. How do we cope knowing that our loved ones are in a sort of dangerous situation?
That's one of the hardest questions of all. It is very, very difficult. And if it's okay, Yaakov, in order to answer that question, I'm going to personalize it. There is a question in the chat, which is, what would you do if you were worried? So I'm actually going to answer that question because I'm going to talk about myself, because I'm a psychotherapist. I know the strategies and the tools for managing anxiety, but I can tell you, it's okay if I tell you that I'm sitting here and my fingers and my hands are a little shaky. They are. Why? Because I, living here, have access to family and friends who have their children, their husbands, their daughters who are fighting right now on the front line. So whether it's in that capacity, whether it's being abroad and knowing that there are family here, it is worrying. And the way in which I can answer that question is this. The first thing that I do when I feel a bubble of that worry is I stop myself. Not stop myself from worrying. I stop myself and I say, yes, it makes perfect sense. Where in this dynamic am I supposed to not feel worried? Where am I supposed to just shut it out? Oh, my family's over there. Okay, then, bye. How am I supposed to speak to my friends when they say to me that their son is on the border, their daughter's on the border, and be like, oh, okay, then, that's nice. I can't. And I'm worried. I'm worried. And I sit there and I say, yeah, I'm having a bit of a wobble right now. Right now is a wobble. And I'm feeling awful. So I'm just going to sit in it for a second and just be aware of the fact that this is how I feel. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to say, for goodness sake, stop it. I'm not going to say it because I do feel worried. And I sit there. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I talk to my husband or I ring a friend. Sometimes I come on a Zoom like now and I feel better by speaking and helping other people manage their worries. But the key is this. Once I've felt it, once I know that it's there, take a big deep breath, because right now I do not have an answer to heal it. I can't turn around and say, okay, it's going to be okay tomorrow, everything's fine. I don't know. I know that we as the nation will prevail, but right now we're in a very difficult spot. So I take a deep breath and I say, okay, so right now that's how I'm feeling, and I am going to go and make myself a nice coffee and eat a giant piece of cake, or I'm going to ring a friend and support my friend, or I'm just going to lie down and put some music on in my ears and distract myself, not because I don't care, but suffering is hard enough. And I do this regularly throughout the day at the moment, but you have to accept the fact that you feel that way. And I'm very sorry to say the following sentence, that we have to accept the fact that we don't have the answers right now. And somebody asked a question, how can I feel better? How can I be okay with the fact that my family is where that they are? And how can it be better? I cannot tell you right now that it's going to be better tonight, that it's going to be better tomorrow morning, because I don't know. And I cannot lie, and I cannot lie to myself, and I cannot lie to anybody else. But what I know is that we will prevail. And I know that this is a very difficult place for us to be, but be aware that you're anxious, be aware that you're scared and worried. Take a deep breath, sit in it for a little bit, because it's okay. And when you're ready, go and do something that makes you feel okay. Do not feel guilty about it. You have every right, and you must look after yourself. And if I may say, today I had the pleasure of seeing 2 beautiful weddings taking place. Somebody wrote in this chat, how do I stop myself from feeling guilty if I'm having a nice time with my friends? How do I stop myself? There are soldiers on the borders, their brides are coming down to the bases to marry under the chuppah and to go back again. There's a soldier today who came out of his base, went to Caesarea. My parents, who were in Ashkelon, finally got to Caesarea, and he had a wedding with his bride, his beautiful bride, and went back to base. They have a right to celebrate. We must celebrate life. We must celebrate. They are trying, as Yaakov said, to take every bit of that away. We don't have to sit and suffer and sit in it for repetition and repetition whilst this is happening. If you have a birthday, you celebrate it in a way that you feel comfortable. But celebrate it, say some Tehillim, give some stakah when you have your friends over. So you're connecting too with what's going on. You celebrate, you see your friends, laugh. It's important to laugh. Okay.
Absolutely, Deborah. I'm aware of the time, so I'm going to deal with 2 things before we close. One person, a few of you have thanked so much, and can we do this again? Yes, we will do this again, and we will send out details, and you'll know when we're going to do it again. We'll try and do it again, please God, next week. 2 things that I wanted to just address before we close. How do we cope with the distance? You know what? We're not going to cope with the distance, because right now we're thinking about tonight, tomorrow, Shabbat, and each day is a day. Let's not think about how long and what. It's really a matter of getting through the weekend, looking after ourselves, and then we'll see next week how we're going to cope for next week, and then we'll work it out as we go along. So let's really try not to stop thinking about too far ahead in the future. A number of you are very anxious. So first, I just want to make you aware of the JTeen helpline. Some of you, or probably a lot of you, might already know the JTeen helpline, but I don't know if you can see the number on your screen, but JTeen with their volunteer counselors and therapists are available every night from 6 till midnight. You're welcome to text in. It's all anonymous. No one's going to ask for your name. No one can see your number, and if you are struggling, then please reach out, and our trusted counselors will try and help you and give you the support. I think what we should do is maybe end off tonight for those people that are feeling very anxious and very panicky. Let's try and do a very simple breathing exercise. You know, we've been blessed with the ability, we breathe the whole time. Well, guess what? There's a magic trick that we have that we can take that breathing, and if we do it in the right way, it can actually bring a lot of calm to us. You might feel a bit weird doing it, but that's the beauty of Zoom, because no one can see you. So what I would like you all to do, I'd like you to all lean back on your chair, or if you're in bed, just sort of get you in a nice comfy position, okay? And you can see Deborah and I doing it. And really simple, just breathe in very slowly, okay? So count to like 4 seconds, and just, if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. You might think this is a bit ridiculous, you might never have done something like this before, but this brings automatic calm to a person, just because we're slowing the heart rate down. So we're just going to breathe very slowly in for a few seconds, and then very slowly we're going to just breathe out. Very gentle, nothing too deep. You don't need to start taking massive breaths, just very calm breathing in, very calm breathing out. And then as you're breathing out, in your mind, you can say something like, you know, it's okay, or you can say, be calm. And try this for a couple of minutes and just see what it does. Is it just slows us all down. It just brings a certain control to us. And experiment, see if it goes well. For some of you it might, some of you it won't, but if you can practice it, you've got a really good tool that when you are feeling very anxious and your body and your heart rate and everything's going really fast, you've now got the ability just to, as they say, drop anchor, just to calm and to bring yourself back to, you know, back to where you are, back to the present world, back to your bedroom, back to your desk, back to your chair, back to the here, not the news, not all the stuff going on, just to life in the present. So on that very nice, calm note, thank you, everyone. I'm really sorry that we couldn't get to all the questions. We couldn't give you all individual answers. I'm hoping that we have replied to a lot of you. And as I said, we will put up sort of notices for next week when we will be on again. And just wishing you all a lovely weekend. Shabbat Shalom, and please God, we should only have good news. Deborah, you've been amazing. Thank you for coming from Israel.
Thank you for having me.
We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Pleasure. Thank you. And just everybody, I wish you well, and please reach out if you need. You are not alone. And exactly as Yaakov said, there is help, and we're all in it together, and we can support each other.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.